Sathya Sai Speaks, Volume 13, Chapter 10, 35 and 65, Part 1 of 2. The future of India lies in your hands. You are fully aware of the characteristics of this Kali Yuga, age of conflict we are passing through. You find around you injustice, irregularities, immorality and untruth with all their devilish attributes and atrocities. But we have to march ahead in spite of all these with a quiet, tolerant and benign attitude towards life. Almost all the fields and walks of life are polluted with these poisonous feelings, but the field of education, being the most prominent organ, needs our special attention. We should first inquire and try to find out why the parent or pupils or their teachers are taking part in these anti-academic activities. The main reason for this disorder is that the human mind is haunted and dominated by two devilish blemishes. They are selfishness and ambition. These forces are standing in the way of human beings in realizing the human values which go to make up humanity. It is not becoming of a man to exchange his valuable life, as precious as a gem, for worldly desires and ambitions, which are as worthless as a coal stone. Man becomes immortal neither by deeds, nor by progeny, nor by wealth. What makes him eternal is the spirit of sacrifice. So we should try to make our lives meaningful by sacrificing personal comfort for the sake of our fellow beings. The student today is a seeker of worldly pleasures. Today, when we find our educational trends going astray and causing anxiety to parents and society, we need to reiterate our old values according to which an education based on our cultural heritage can alone lead one to real education, Atma Vidya, the state of self-realization. Every Indian will have to recognize the culture based on Vedic philosophy. You will know how restless and agitated the youth of India is today, trying to rob everything with all pride and no achievement, and thus getting involved in meaningless pursuits. The student of today is not able to realize what he should primarily be concerned with. It is only in name that he is a Vidyarthi, a seeker of knowledge. In practice, he is only a Vishayarthi, a seeker of worldly pleasures. It is the duty of every human being to understand and respect his parents. Similarly, in a nation, it is the duty of every national to assimilate and appreciate the historical and cultural background of his nation and consider these two factors as his father and mother. In fact, one who is ignorant of the historical and cultural heritage of his country is like a foolish person who has no knowledge of his parents. We have therefore to make manifold progress in the field of education today to keep pace with the general advancement that is taking place. But we are ignorant of our great classics and scriptures like the Ramayana, Mahabharata, and Bhagavad Gita. The end of education is character. Once a district educational officer was inspecting a school. He asked the teacher to find out from one of his pupils as to who wrote Ramayana. The pupil innocently replied, "Sir, I never wrote it. Perhaps you might have written it." Then the teacher found himself in a miserable plight and turned to the inspecting officer to assure that he has not done so, and tried to inquire if the officer had by any chance written the work. The district educational officer referred the matter to be safe to the vice chancellor, who finally observed that some Brahmin must have done it and advised the officer concerned to close the issue. This means that the state of affairs in our educational field today is so pitiable that our students, teachers, inspecting officers and vice chancellors are all sailing in the same boat. Nobody knows about the author of a work like Ramayana. In these circumstances, we are not justified in calling ourselves educated. We are wasting our precious time on imitation. The end of education is character, and the end of knowledge is love. Education does not mean mere knowledge of books and acquaintances with them. If we concentrate on book knowledge at the cost of practical application, we will be spoiling the name of education itself. In olden times, only those who secured 100% marks were allowed to pass a test. But now, 35 out of 100 will enable a person to get through an examination. That means a student is allowed to commit 65 mistakes out of 100. If a student is allowed to make 65% mistakes when he has full time and energy at his disposal, there is no reason why a grown-up must not be given the margin of committing 100% mistakes. It is therefore the duty of each and every student to attain 100% perfection in his knowledge. If he cannot do this as a student, in spite of his advantage of age and energy, he will not be able to do justice to his work when he takes up a job and assumes the false notions of prestige and dignity. End of part 1 of 2. Jaipur, April 10th, 1975.